Okay, so I literally just uploaded a video today, but I need to talk about this because it just came out. But Chapter 4 has been officially revealed. We now know what the main monster of the game is going to look like, where it will take place, we have our first official poster for it, and we have a bunch of photos showing off Chapter 4. And before you guys ask, is this what was supposed to come out on September 30th, what they teased in the Chapter 3 recap? Well, instead of me answering that, I'm going to let one of the Poppy Playtime devs themselves actually answer that, because they went over that exact question in their Discord server. Somebody asked the dev Tyler, will there still be something tomorrow, or was that it? And Tyler said there's still something tomorrow, which I personally think is going to be a full teaser trailer for Chapter 4, and most likely by the time I get this uploaded, that'll be in a couple hours from now. But anyways, we have to go over this because it's super insane. Obviously, here's the main poster for Chapter 4, and on the main cover, we get a brand new sheep character. And I'm going to be straight up honest, when I first saw this, I 100% thought it was fake, because when Chapter 3 was starting to come out and we were getting the reveals of all the smiling critters, one of the fan-made smiling critters that all of the fans were talking about was Sweet Sheep, inspired by the YouTuber Sheep Rampage, the most popular Poppy Playtime YouTuber. So either Mob took inspiration from that, or they already had this planned out before that was even made. Either way, this is our brand new Chapter 4 villain, and he seems to be a scrapped smiling critter. And the only thing we didn't get here was his name, but I actually already know his name, and here's how. If you guys saw my last couple videos, I was going over some leaked names that Mob Entertainment copyrighted that could be used in all their future games, including Chapter 4. And one of those names was Baba Chops. When I first saw the word Baba, I thought it meant something like a cake because there is a type of cake called a Baba. But really what I should have been focusing on is the second word, chops, like lamb chops. But apparently this character is not a lamb, it's actually a sheep, confirmed by the devs in the Discord server. And we actually do know the gender of this character. Somebody in their Discord was curious whether it was a boy or a girl, so somebody asked Tyler the dev, what's its gender? And Tyler said, sheep is a girl. Obviously trying to avoid saying the real name of the character, because that will most likely be revealed in the teaser trailer tomorrow, or today by the time you're watching this. But anyways, we officially have the full Steam page for Chapter 4, and there's actually a description of the game that I'm going to go over now, and it actually reveals a lot about the game, so here it is. Brace yourself for the darkest chapter yet in the Poppy Playtime saga. You are pushed deeper into the undiscovered depths of the Playtime Co-Factory, far below anything the world knew. Here you'll encounter terrifying new threats and discover shocking revelations. Can you outwit the unnatural new creations lurking in the shadows? Can you survive here long enough to eventually unravel the mysteries behind the experiments? Every step will test your courage, every puzzle will challenge your mind, and every corner may be your last. So the main thing I want to talk about in this is the unnatural new creations lurking in the shadows. If you guys can remember back to my last video, which I actually posted a couple hours ago, I talked about this image that Mob Entertainment released when the Chapter 3 recap video came out, and right behind Miss Delight there was a secret character that no one was talking about, and I did see your guys' comments saying that it's probably just catnap smoke, and I do agree, but I think it's really weird that it's in the shape of a face. But anyways, if we go back to the Steam page, we can see that half of this new sheep character's face we can barely see because it's blacked out by the shadow. So it seems like this character is going to be moving a lot in the shadows. But here's my main theory for this video. I think this is not the only Chapter 4 monster, I think it will actually be a group. Like how Catnap was a part of the Smiling Critters, but he was the main villain for the actual Chapter 3 game. That's how it is for this new character, Baba Chops. Because another copyrighted name that I went over so many times is the Nightmare Critters. And right now this seems to be the only one we've gotten so far, and there's probably a bunch more. Another name that was copyrighted was Alistair Gator, and Maggie Mako, which is supposed to be a shark character. So if they're having a shark and an alligator, those are two pretty dangerous and intimidating animals. But anyways, if we go back to the Steam page, when it says, can you outwit the unnatural new creations lurking in the shadows? I want to talk about how it says new creations. And again, I did go over this in my last video if you saw it, but YouTuber Sheep Rampage had a pretty good theory that the Chapter 4 monster is someone that's invented by the prototype, because the prototype is the smartest character in the Poppy Playtime universe.
This matters a ton because looking back at what we already know about Chapter 4, we know the chapter will be about the prototype, but will still contain a brand new toy as the main antagonist that we have never seen before. I believe this is all foreshadowing that the Chapter 4 main villain or villains were likely created by the prototype 1006. This would explain how the chapter would be related to the prototypes and also explain why there's been so many teases throughout the game alluding to the prototype being able to create stuff.
So here's my theory. I think wherever Chapter 4 takes place, that will be where this new character, Baba Chops, was created by the prototype himself. And these photos on the Steam page, which I'm actually going to go over later, look a lot like a prison cell or a lab, but when we do eventually get there in the video, that'll prove my theory even more. So what better time to talk about those than now? let's go over all of these brand new teaser photos we got for Chapter 4. Now, every single one of these photos is just showing off the environments of Chapter 4 with hidden secrets in them, which you may not notice at first, so I'm going to go over now. The first photo I'm going to talk about is this one, which looks a lot like a prison cell, and I'm not denying that it is. Obviously, there's the bars, and then there's the upper floor where the guards can check on all the inmates. But the only question now is, who is this a jail cell for? Obviously not Huggy Wuggy, he's like 40 feet, he wouldn't fit in this. Definitely not Mommy Longlegs either. Catnap could just break out. The prototype is too smart to get trapped in there. So who exactly are these cells for? Well, my theory is that these jail cells are either meant for the smiling critters after they've been turned into monsters, or the nightmare critters made by the prototype. Because obviously, the smiling critters we saw in Chapter 3 were super small, and they would fit in a jail cell like this. So maybe the prototype made this entire area that we're going to in Chapter 4, and the reason he made it was to keep all of the nightmare critters in there, and when the time is right, he would eventually release them to try and go kill us, which is Chapter 4. And that's why we see all these jail cells open. And I'm sure after we kill all of these nightmare critters, the prototype will be our next target. But anyways, this next photo looks a lot like a front office, but there's one specific thing in it that I want to go over, and it's the logo on the wall. Now at first, this may just look like some made up logo. Maybe it's a company that helps Playtime Co. create these places in the factory. But what if I told you we've seen this exact logo somewhere before? On a random day in the Poppy Playtime Discord, a brand new account named Playtime Co. came in and started leaving really weird messages, and eventually left this photo. And no one has seemed to solve what this means yet. It's just a bunch of random words and random letters. But then if we look in the top right, we'll see a very familiar logo, that being the square spiral thing. So obviously these are connected, but what do they mean? What exactly is this area for? Well, right now, the answer to that is I don't really know. Maybe in the Chapter 4 teaser, we'll learn a lot more about this and what this logo actually means. Now, this next photo is very cave-like, which is very odd because we saw something exactly like that in Chapter 3 as we were entering the Playcare for the first time, and it seems like outside of the Playcare, it was just a giant underground cave. And it seems like we're getting around that same vibe for Chapter 4, which honestly, I kind of like that vibe, so I'm glad it's coming back. But in this photo, we can obviously see that the purple hand is returning for Chapter 4, and that's most likely not the only hand we're going to get in this game. There's probably going to be some new ones too, but also most likely the Grab Pack 2.0 is going to come back for Chapter 4. But something else I want to point out in this photo is those two white dots at the bottom. Now this could be a stretch, but those could possibly be eyeballs. I know they're most likely just lights, because we do see them right next to this giant wooden pillar holding up whatever this is. And now listen, I know I only went over 3 of the main photos they gave us for Chapter 4, but honestly, every single other photo they gave us is pretty self-explanatory and it doesn't really have any other hidden secrets in it. And all that it's trying to tell, you pretty much get that just from looking once at it, so there's not really a need for me to explain it here. But yeah, I really hope you guys did enjoy. My next video will obviously be about whatever comes out on September 30th. And I'll see you guys then, and subscribe if you're excited for Poppy Playtime Chapter 4. Goodbye.